Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar overview of the complete Sangoma Solutions portfolio. My name is Elvira Crespo, and I'm the marketing manager for open source at Sangoma. Today, we have here with us Ryan Markham. He's the director of open source solution sales, and he's going to be the one doing this presentation. Before we get started, I would like to remind you that you can ask any questions at any time of this webinar using the questions section on the control panel that you can see in the bar, and we will review them at the end of this presentation. Hi, Ryan, are you there?
Hi, Elvita, I am here, and thank you for the introduction. Welcome, everybody. We do have quite a few more registered attendees than what are in the room right now. However, I am going to be running closer to 1 hour than I normally do on these, and I want to respect the time of those of you who made it here on time, so we are going to get started right away. As Alvita mentioned, you can ask questions in the little panel box there, and we will either try to answer those at the end of today's webinar, and if we can't get to all the questions at the end of it, we'll create like an FAQ sheet with questions and answers and email that out to attendees, so we make sure that we do get all of your questions answered. So again, my name is Ryan Markham. I'm director of the open source software sales here at Sangoma. And really what that means is I kind of oversee products from a sales perspective that have to do with Asterisk, FreePBX, and PBExact. So today we're kind of going to do a really high level overview of all of those solutions, as well as some additional pieces of hardware and software that we have that can kind of fill out the open source and open source based platforms communication set that we have here at Sangoma. So we're going to talk a little bit about FreePBX and Asterisk, and then we're going to move into our commercial version of FreePBX called PBExact. We will cover phones, both hard phones and soft phones that we have for FreePBX and PBExact, our SIP trunking and faxing solutions, cloud services, PBExact Cloud, and some other hardware and software. And then at the end as well, we will briefly talk about our partner program and how easy it is to become a partner with Sangoma in the event that you are not already. So lots to cover. Let's get started. We can't have any conversations about FreePBX or PBExact without at least mentioning Asterisk. So Asterisk is the telephony engine that both FreePBX and PBExact are built on top of. So it is an open source toolkit that's mainly used by developers to build communications applications. And this is the probably most widely used and downloaded open source communications toolkit on the planet. We are well over 25 million downloads of Asterisk now since the project's inception. And really everything that FreePBX and PBExact do at the core is based on and built upon Asterisk. FreePBX started out as simply a GUI or a configurator for Asterisk. We have since layered in a lot more UC applications that are baked into FreePBX that will do things beyond just configure Asterisk. So just to give you a snapshot of FreePBX by the numbers, this is the world's most downloaded and deployed open source based PBX, used in over 220 countries and territories throughout the world. And really kind of the other statistic here that really jumps out at me is 377 years of effort. It's probably more than that now, but that is the amount of time that it would take for one developer to sit down and write the lines of code that have gone into the FreePBX project. So it would take one person nonstop, 377 years of effort to get us where we are today. So it really does speak volumes about it being a community-driven project. And we at Sangoma are the ones that are really driving that now as the sponsors of it and paying the core development team of FreePBX. We spend millions of dollars a year on development to ultimately give this product away for free. So What is FreePBX? Again, this is an application, it's really a GUI that sits on top of Asterisk, and it's an extremely powerful, feature-rich phone system that we give away for completely free out of the box. It's free like a puppy. So, you know, what I mean by that is if you get a free puppy, you're still going to have to then consider buying it food, paying for a vet bill. It's going to need toys. It's going to need a leash. It's going to need a lot of other things. And the analogy to FreePBX here would be, you know, we can give you a free phone system, but now you've got to start figuring out, what am I going to do for SIP trunks? What am I going to do for hard phones? What am I going to do for soft phones? How am I going to connect to the PSTN if I'm doing that? And so Sangoma has built a suite of hardware and software applications to build out your free phone system solution and give you the tightest integration possible. FreePBX is completely open source and standards based, so it can be integrated with almost anything. Anything else out there that is standards based is going to play very nicely with FreePBX. So as long as we're not talking about proprietary hardware or software, it's most likely going to work perfectly fine with FreePBX. And then we at Sangoma sell commercial add-ons for FreePBX that will sort of enhance the feature set of FreePBX out of the box. We sell them in bundles, or we sell them a la carte. And FreePBX, being this free piece of software, is kind of the basis for us to be able to sell our product stack of phones, gateways, cards, SIP trunking, and software add-ons as well. I mentioned it's a very powerful phone system out of the box. So FreePBX, when you download and install our ISO, you're going to have access to some pretty powerful phone system features that a lot of other proprietary vendors will charge for. Things like ring groups and hunt groups, queues or ACD. You know, everybody gets a voicemail extension with us. We support call recording out of the box with FreePBX, and it's gives you extremely granular control over call recording, where you can set it at the extension level or the trunk level. You can do inbound, outbound, all calls, restrict calls, and there's no charge for that. Call parking, paging and intercom, all of these features, kind of some of the key features, I should say, are completely free and included with FreePBX out of the box. And I mentioned we sell some add-ons, some commercial modules that will sort of enhance that feature set. So something like Softphones, if you want Softphones for FreePBX, we sell a module that will allow you to have desktop and mobile softphone clients, which we'll talk about. We support call parking out of the box with FreePBX, but we sell a module called Parking Pro that will enable you to do a park and announce, as well as enable the ability to have multiple parking lots. So some of the modules just sort of expand on a feature set that's existing in FreePBX already, like Park Pro, and some will give you access to a feature set that's not included with it, like our Softphones module. And we sell these commercial modules a la carte, as well as you can see, we've created some bundles here that are just different bundles of the modules that we do sell individually, kind of packaged together with a little bit of a discount baked into them based on some of our most popular modules. Those most popular modules are going to be System Admin Pro, which is going to enable DDNS as well as SMTP configs for email servers within FreePBX, and it also is the kind of the key to enable SSH and VPN keys for our support team to be able to provide direct support to your FreePBX system should you need that. Endpoint Manager is our second most popular and highest selling module for FreePBX. I'll talk in depth a little bit more about Endpoint Manager at a later point, but this is essentially a module that sits inside of FreePBX, and it allows you to build and map your extensions and buttons on your phones. Endpoint Manager writes the config file out for the phones, and then the phones pull that down for you. So it's a really easy way to remotely provision your IP phones, and that's a module that we sell for third-party phones, or it's completely free with our phones. Phone apps, again, this is a suite of XML keys that we populate right on the face of our phone for things like call parking, visual voicemail, transfer to voicemail, log in and log out. This is a popular paid module for third-party phones, free with our phones. Softphones obviously is a huge module that we sell for FreePBX, and we completely give that away and include it out of the box with PBExact. I mentioned Park Pro earlier and what that does. Page Pro will allow for you to do scheduled pages or prepend recordings into pages, and that module also free with PBExact. Class of service allows for you to have, granular control over restrictions of inbound and outbound routes, as well as other modules within inside your FreePBX, free with PBExact. And Fax Pro will allow for archiving of inbound faxes as well as cover sheets for outbound faxes, and that's a popular module that we sell for FreePBX, and it's free with PBExact. So clearly there's a theme here mentioning that our most popular modules, these are the modules that we sell the absolute most of for FreePBX. All right, they're all included with PBExact or are all included when you use our phones at no charge. So we're now going to get into and cover what is PBExact. So PBExact and FreePBX are largely more similar than they are different. These two products are based on the exact same operating system, software stack, SQL database. They're both software-only products, but we do licensed extensions on PBExact. So on FreePBX, you can create as many extensions as you want, and there's no charge for that, whereas we do charge a license fee for extensions on PBExact. But we include about 90% of the commercial modules that we sell a la carte for FreePBX out of the box with PBExact. And with PBExact, you are also getting a more hardened or stable version of FreePBX. So what I mean by that is on FreePBX, we give you the ability to update your modules or your framework into an edge or an alpha mode. We're constantly adding new features to modules, and the latest stable version of FreePBX is version 16 right now. When we launch version 17, before it goes GA, we will, allow for the community to update their FreePBX and play with 17 before it's been fully QA'd, and you can kind of play with it and help look at it and things like that. A novice system admin cannot accidentally update their framework or modules on PBExact into a non-proven, non-QA'd version of framework and modules. So we only expose updates in PBExact to what we know are going to be the most bug-free, proven, and stable versions of that framework and modules. So other than that, it's again, almost identical to FreePBX, but we layer in those commercial modules and you're getting a slightly more proven version. I don't have time to go through and highlight each and every one of these modules that is included with PBExact. We've kind of already talked about a few of them, but some huge value adds would be CRM link integration. So if you're using Salesforce, Sugar, Suite, Zoho, we provide direct integration between your CRM platform and PBExact. And we also have a generic API that's included with that CRM link module that allows you to put hooks into a CRM platform that may not inherently be supported out of the box, so that you can have calls attached, call pops, and attach call recordings into your CRM with PBExact. And then again, I just want to touch on Softphones here is included with every seat on PBExact. There's been a lot of common misconceptions in the past that PBExact is a hardware product, that if you want PBExact, you have to buy a Sangoma appliance and that's it. That's the only way that you can get it. It's not the case. We do sell dedicated physical servers for PBExact. Our smallest appliance will support up to 25 users, and our largest appliance will support up to 2,000 users on a single dedicated physical server. Our hardware is the only officially supported hardware for PBExact, so we will not only support your software if you have a software contract with us, but we will also support the hardware as well. But at the end of the day, PBExact is a software-only product. So you have the ability to deploy this on your own dedicated physical servers. You can virtualize this. You can put it into VPS servers in a public cloud in your own data center. Really, wherever you can and do run FreePBX, you can also run and support PBExact as well. And lastly, PBExact Cloud. If you or your customers want to have an instance of FreePBX that is in Sangoma's cloud and managed and supported and maintained by us, we don't do it with FreePBX, we do it with PBExact. So we do have fully managed and supported instance of PBExact in our cloud that partners have the ability to get commissions and spiffs on by bringing that business into Sangoma. And then we bill the customers directly and pay you commissions and as well as upfront spiffs so that you don't have to worry about rebilling taxes and fees from the FCC to your customer base. So rolling your own cloud with PBExact software. Everything that is displayed in today's webinar from a pricing perspective is going to display MSRP pricing, but partners with us do have access to discounts on all of our hardware, software, support, training, SIP trunking, and cloud services. So if you wanted to do PBExact in your own cloud or just on your own dedicated physical, it's a $450 base fee per deployment and then $8 per user. The $8 per user is not per month, that's not per year, that is a one-time cost, $8 a user, and you own the license for that user for life. And then we have support contracts for PBExact software-only instances that give you a 24/7 service level agreement for $3 per user per year. And I mentioned that these products are so similar that you actually have the ability in our portal. If you're thinking right now, hey, maybe PBExact is a better fit for me than FreePBX, and I've got a lot of FreePBX instances out there, we have a conversion tool in our portal. You can take every single one of your existing FreePBX virtual machines and convert them into PBExact. It takes less than 5 minutes. We give you a deployment ID for PBExact when you check out in our portal. You SSH into your FreePBX and run a single command line into it, and it will then convert your FreePBX to PBExact, change the color and the logos in there, and expose the modules. And away you go now with an instance of PBExact, converting that production FreePBX in place. PBExact Cloud. So PBExact Cloud has several benefits. We do cloud billing for PBExact a little bit differently than the majority of our competition. Instead of a flat fee per server like most cloud companies are providing, we have a concept of what we call trunks plus users and users only. If you've followed PBExact Cloud in the past at all, we used to call it full extensions and light extensions, and that was somewhat confusing as far as what am I not getting with a light extension. So your trunks plus users is exactly that. It's a trunk and a seat on the PBX, so it's your call path plus an extension, and then you can buy just additional extensions for $9 each per month. So this affords you, if you've got, say, a 20 user system, but they only need to have 5 concurrent calls on the PBX, then we would bill them for 5 trunks plus users at $24.95, and the remaining 15 users would be billed at $8.95 each. That gives us a total of 20 extensions to share 5 call paths, and that brings that cost per user or cost per extension down significantly lower than our competition. We provide full support entitlement to PBExact Cloud users, so partners still can have full GUI access to your customer's cloud-based instance and provide simple management support. You can choose to be, full hands-off and let Sangoma do it on behalf of your customers. It's entirely up to you how you want to do that, but we provide support entitlement directly to you, the partner, and or the end user, however you want. And we're also responsible and handle all the maintenance and updates inside of PBExact Cloud as well. Obviously, PBExact, a cloud-based phone system, is future-proof. You don't have to worry about maintaining that hardware on site anymore. And being that we are based on open source with PBExact Cloud, you can use our phones, or if you have some existing standards-based IP phones that you want to use with PBExact Cloud, we allow you to do that as well. But there's some good reasons why you would want to choose Sangoma phones with respect to PBExact Cloud. And we are currently running a fantastic promo. If you're on FreePBX or PBExact and you want to move to PBExact Cloud, we are offering it to you at $15.99 for that Trunk Plus user rate, down from $24.95. And with that, we're going to give every user a free S505 telephone. The S505 phone, this is not your typical freebie, sign up for our cloud, get a free phone that's got no display and 1 or 2 buttons on it. This is our most popular selling phone for FreePBX and PBExact, and it's not the most popular because it's the cheapest. As you can see, you've got a lot of physical buttons, a color screen display, dual gigabit pass-through ports, VPN connectivity. This is going to come with Endpoint Manager and phone apps for all of your users, and that phone is free, and you're on our cloud at $15.99 per user with that. So if you are interested at all in this promo, make sure that you reach out to myself or someone else on my sales team, and we can talk with you about that in more depth. I've mentioned a couple of times now that about 90% of the modules we sell are included with PBExact. So what are those other 10%? What are we not including with PBExact? That's going to be our third-party phones or Endpoint Manager if you're not using Sangoma phones. Our call center module add-on, advanced recovery, and our hospitality solutions Oracle connector module. So the call center module, this is supported in every flavor of PBExact. So you can add a call center module to hardware only, software only, or our cloud as well. This is going to give you some call center light type of functionality with respect to reporting on what's going on in your queues from an inbound perspective, as far as how many calls came in, average hold time, average wait time, abandoned calls, etc. And we can do scheduled reports of all of that sent to the PBX admin or whoever would like to have access to those reports. We give you virtual queuing and queue callback. So if you've got a call center or just a business where you don't want somebody to have to call and sit on hold in a queue before they can get to an agent, this module allows for the caller to press 1 and have the PBX call them back when it's their turn in line. Broadcast dialer is an outbound dialing campaign, gives you the ability to upload a CSV file and blast out a phone call campaign. Maybe it's for a school system, alerting everybody that school is closing early that day and you need to come and pick up your kid, upload a CSV, send it out. And some other modules in there, outbound call limit and caller ID management. Advanced recovery is not included with PBExact. So advanced recovery is an expansion on our warm spare configuration for FreePBX and PBExact. Essentially what this does, a warm spare module, we do a nightly backup and restore between a primary PBX and a secondary PBX. And in the event that your primary PBX goes down, you can then manually swing over your trunks and endpoints to your warm spare server. With advanced recovery, we have an auto failover, so it's still going to work on that nightly sync basis. There's no true heartbeat sync with advanced recovery, so you would be failing over to a secondary server that is as up to date as when you took your last backup, but we will auto swing trunks and endpoints over to it. We'll also send notifications out to the system admin to notify you that it did fail, so you can immediately begin looking into that. The idea there is that when advanced recovery does fail over your end, no one's going to notice that because the phones are just going to automatically be re-registered and trunks and everything ready to go on your secondary. So we give you, the system admin, a notification to let you know that it did happen, and you can start checking into that. This module does work over WAN, so you can have your primary and secondary PBXs be in geo-redundant locations. They do not have to both be on the same network in the same location. All right, hospitality solutions. We are really starting to make some noise in the market with our hospitality solutions. we now have the ability to integrate PBExact with Oracle, which is the most widely used PMS software platform for hotels and hospitality. And we have very few competitors in the marketplace that are doing this. And those who are doing it at a cost that far exceeds what you can do it for with PBExact. So the Sangoma Oracle connector module is a module that we use that requires an additional module that we have, Sangoma Property Management module. So Sangoma Property Management module would be something that you can use if you were trying to target a hospitality, or if you're a hotel that's not paying for something like Oracle, but you want some functionality like what Oracle gives you, as far as the ability to consult and sort out telephony billing expenses, minibar, check-in and check-out, room status changes. You can actually do that through User Control Panel and the SPM module. But if you're talking about a hotel that's using Oracle, our Oracle module works in tandem with Sangoma Property Management module, so you license both of them. And this then opens and gives direct integration between your PBExact as well as the Oracle module. So here's just a quick peek at Sangoma Property Management. Again, this is kind of a standalone module for you to use if you don't have PMS, but it is required if you do have Oracle. But so what Oracle is going to do, this Oracle module is going to really automate processes for the hotel. When a guest checks into the hotel, all of their information is sent to Oracle, the PMS system, and then the PMS is going to then send that information to PBExact about the guest. And based on what you've set up for that guest as far as a class of service goes, calls are now going to be enabled for that room. Believe it or not, the #1 expense that most hotels report is their telephone bill. So even in this day and age of everyone having their own mobile device and not having to really pay for minutes of usage on it anymore, people are still using the phones in the hotels to place long distance phone calls or to dial internationally, and having a way to either completely disable that or enable it through class of service, and then allocate charges and billing based on where the guest is calling, and have that completely sync up all throughout the process of their stay, is a huge value for hotels. Just a quick shot of some of the communications that we send from PMS to the PBExact are going to be when a guest checks in and when a guest checks out, if they move rooms, any reminders for wake up calls, allowing the guests to be set to do not disturb, and of course the big one being class of service to enable or disable outgoing calls on whatever basis that is deemed fit from the system admin based on that guest. And then the PBExact will communicate back to PMS call accounting. So anything that we are charging for back to the PMS to put on their bill, the PBExact will handle and send out. Room status changes, so clean, dirty, clean, vacant, occupied, that can all be done from the phone directly back down to the PMS. Minibar charges to the PMS system from the phone, feature codes, -2 Miller lights, send it through the PBX directly back down to the PMS, and notifications here as well. So we're really doing a lot with hospitality, and if you want to know more about that, make sure you get with myself or someone else here. Phones for PBExact and FreePBX. We now have quite a few different phones out there. We've got S phones, D phones, P phones, DECT phones, and we're gonna start chatting about all of them right now. Endpoint Manager, I mentioned earlier, this is completely free when you're using any of our phones. So regardless of S phone, D phone, P phone, you get access to Endpoint Manager software completely free. And again, this will help you map your extensions and buttons and templates and very easily be able to remotely provision and set up hundreds of IP phones at once instead of having to manually do that yourself. So the S phones. The S phones were the original phones that Sangoma designed and built specifically for integration with FreePBX and PBExact. These were our phones that we made to have the tightest possible integration within those two platforms, being that we controlled the firmware inside of FreePBX and PBExact, and we control the firmware in the S phones. So we've got zero touch provisioning, we've got VPN clients inside of our S phones. Endpoint Manager is included, and we've got, you know, phones available that are kind of simple, you know, 2-button phone that can be a manufacturing type phone, all the way up to the S705 that has built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on the motherboard with large LCD color screen display. So these were the original phones that were designed for FreePBX and PBExact. Almost all of the S phones, with the exception of that 206, have support for phone apps. So these are some examples of the phone apps that sit on the face of our phones with our phone apps application. This allows for something like parking. Instead of having to dial *71 to park a call, I can simply press the parking button when I'm on an active call, and it will put it into a parking lot for me. And conversely, if I need to pick up a parked call, I can hit the parking button. It'll then populate all of the calls that are in that parking lot and allow for me to choose which one I need to pick up. So the majority of these are going to eliminate the need for your users to have to remember feature codes to do things like park a call, transfer a call to voicemail, even something like managing time conditions. If you are closing your business early for the day and you need to flip over to an after hours IVR and call routing set, your users can go to their time conditions button and flip to after hours and leave the building without having to find a system admin to change those time conditions for them. So a really slick suite of applications that kind of make both the system admin and the end user lives a little bit easier. We have the D phones for PBExact. So the D phones came to us by way of acquisition. We bought a company called Digium almost 4 years ago now. And these phones were originally designed for a platform that Digium developed called Switchvox. And since acquiring them, we put a ton of effort into essentially giving them the exact same level of super tight integration that we had for our S phones as well. So you get access to Endpoint Manager. The REST apps are supported on the D phones, with the exception of the D80 does not have REST app support. But the D phones are excellent physical quality phones. They're a little bit pricier than the S series phones, but you're getting a more a higher quality physical phone from that standpoint for that. Last year, we launched a new model of phones called our P phones, and we did this because partners had been asking for a very long time for a good, solid quality phone that has a color screen display, that's not an arm and a leg, that is specifically designed for something like the K-12 space. We need phones where in a school district where you're going to have 500 phones sitting on a teacher's desk that has a color display, it's got BLF capability, but it's not outrageously priced. So we launched the P phones. The P310 and the 315 are the exact same footprint phone. The 315 just has dual gigabit pass-through ports on it. But these phones are perfect for retail, manufacturing, K-12 education. Just a rock solid phone for under $100 MSRP. And on Monday of this week, we finally announced the rest of our P phone lineup. So we now have a full fleet of P phones available for FreePBX and PBExact. So I'm super excited to be able to share that with everybody today. In case you missed that email, we're going to briefly cover our new phones. So the P320, this is going to be kind of that entry level phone, that first step up from the 310 and the 315. 4 physical buttons on it with 4 SIP accounts. We do have a USB port on the back of this phone, and it is dual gigabit Ethernet connectivity, and just good solid physical phone with a color display. Those 4 physical buttons there has a separate soft key button for page scrolling, so you're going to get way more than just 4 BLFs on it. And we do have dual Kensington lock ports on all of our new P phones as well. The 325 is going to essentially be the exact same phone that I just showed you, but it is going to have 2 more buttons on it. Otherwise, it's largely the same exact phone, but we're gonna add in a couple more physical buttons on there than what you get on the P320. And then we move into the P330. I expect that the 330 is going to probably be the most popular phone that we sell going forward for PBExact and FreePBX. This is going to get you 12 physical buttons on the phone with a page key for virtual BLF. And we have built-in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on the motherboard in this phone with 5G connectivity support on Wi-Fi, which is huge because a lot of our competitors that have Wi-Fi do not have support for 5G yet, but we do. And this also is going to give you an extra USB port on the back for future expansion. And this phone will support an expansion sidecar that we have available in the P series model line as well. Lastly, we've been being asked for years, when are we going to come out with a touchscreen phone that you can offer to your customers? It's here almost. So this is the P370. This phone is here and ready. It's just not quite shipping yet, but I expect within the next 90 or so days that this phone will be available to ship. You've got a full 7-inch color touchscreen display all the way around. You do have built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. You do have the dual ports on there for USB connectivity, and this phone will also have support for our sidecar as well. And all of these phones have EHS support for headsets baked into them as well. We have DECT phones. So our DECT phone is a standard DECT frequency. The base station is going to allow for that handset to roam about 150 feet or 50 meters from the base. And we can support up to 20 handsets per base with a total of 5 concurrent calls on our DECT phones. Downside to our DECT phone is that we don't support roaming or repeaters between our base stations. So if it's an extremely large space where you need the ability to walk from one end to the other without stopping, then this is not going to be the best solution for you. But if you need the ability, if you're in a smaller type of office space, or you can use, all you need is a 150-foot base for a cordless phone. It's a great cordless phone for that. We have headsets as well. We have an H10 and an H20 DECT headset. DECT is always better than Bluetooth because, again, it's going to let you walk about 150 feet away from the base station on a DECT headset versus Bluetooth might get you 20 feet before you start experiencing some voice quality issues. It also has noise cancellation technology baked into it. And the only difference between our H10 and H20, they both look identical to the headset you see on your screen here, but the H20 is also going to include USB connectivity to use with our desktop softphone client, as well as with the hard phone on the desk. So H10 would be just connecting to the hard phone. H20 gives you the ability to do both. With our phones, we support 4 different ways that you can provision our phones. There is manual provisioning, which nobody wants to do it, but sometimes you just may have to, but we support it. You can log into the GUI and do it yourself. I don't recommend that one. We do support option 66. If you've got a DHCP server on your network, our phones will utilize option 66 for provisioning, and you can go that route. We support plug and play. This is if your phones are all on the same subnet as your FreePBX or PBExact server. When you plug them in on that network, they will discover that there's a PBExact server and say, hey, is that where I need to go? And you can push a button that says, yes, that's where you need to go for registration. And lastly is our redirection service, which is definitely what I would recommend that you utilize. We have a secure redirection service that's done through our portal, in which you simply can take the MAC addresses of your phones and point them to your FreePBX or PBExact deployment ID. When you do that, the phone will reach out to our redirection server, and the redirection server verifies an SSL certificate in that phone. So for security purposes, nobody can be walking down a list of MAC addresses and somehow spoof their way into your PBX and get at your SIP credentials. So once the phone replies back with its SSL certificate, the redirection server will then reply to the phone with the fully qualified domain name or IP address of your PBExact server. And the phones then will pull down either their default template that we have in Endpoint Manager for all of our phones, or you can, ahead of that, build a template for that MAC address, and it'll pull down the one that you've created and set up for your customers. So you can easily drop ship phones to your customers and have them essentially provisioned and ready to go by the time that they arrive in there. And this is just a slide I probably should have had up on the screen when I just spent the last 2 minutes talking about how our redirection service works. Softphones. So we have Softphones for FreePBX and PBExact. And if you've been following along with us at all recently, you're probably slightly confused about what we're doing with Softphones. So hopefully I can clear that up here. Last year, we launched a new mobile softphone client called Sangoma Connect. This is a rock solid mobile softphone client. We have clients available on it for Android and iOS. We have BLF available on our softphones, so you can actually add favorite contacts and see internally if somebody's on the phone, what their presence is, etc., right from the face of the phone, which is huge. Our softphones are fully secured with support for TLS and SRTP. And one of the coolest things about Sangoma Connect is how easy it is to configure this for your users. The system admin simply sends an email out to the user base from the GUI of the phone system. Those users then open that email on their mobile devices and click a link, and the softphone is automatically going to register from that link. There's no QR code, there's no username and password, there's no SIP credential passing. It's a fully secure magic link that will just pop their app and register it instantly for them with no bother of all the passwords, QR codes, any of that stuff. This softphone does have SMS and MMS capability if you are using SipStation trunks with us. So if you're using Sangoma SIP trunking, we have the ability to support text messaging and picture text messaging within our softphone client as well. And it does integrate with Sangoma Meet, which is our HD video conferencing application. From a desktop client perspective, Zulu is our current GA and supported desktop client for FreePBX and PBExact. If you have been paying attention at all over the last month or so, we launched a beta version of a new desktop client called Sangoma Phone. That client is still in beta right now. However, in the very near future, it is going to completely erase Zulu. Zulu will be end of life and no longer supported, and we will be moving forward with the Sangoma Phone desktop client. So right now, if you have purchased licensing for softphones on FreePBX, we are giving you the ability to utilize Sangoma Connect, Zulu, as well as Sangoma Phone desktop client, the new one here. So you have the ability to either roll this one into production right now or simply play with it and continue to use Zulu right now. I have been telling customers and partners who are rolling out new systems and rolling out softphones, even though this is a beta client, this is the one that you probably are going to want to roll out to your customers, because in the next 30 days, you're going to have to uninstall Zulu and retrain everybody on this anyway. It's really only in beta still because it doesn't have all of the features exposed to it that we want to have exposed to it by the time it does go GA. So it's not because there are bugs or issues or anything like that with it, but we don't have SMS and MMS support in it yet, but we've committed to doing that, as well as adding a large list of additional features to kind of bring this up to more than just a softphone client with call history, voicemail, contacts, and presence. However, if that's all you need, that is something that you can get right now, and it's working great. All right, so SIP trunking and faxing. I mentioned that if you want SMS and MMS within our Softphone clients, you have to be utilizing SipStation. So SipStation is a premium SIP trunking service that we have at Sangoma, and you have the ability to get a SIP trunk or a call path for as low as $19.99 per month with us. We're not the most expensive SIP trunking solution in the marketplace, and we're not the cheapest, but we are definitely going to be probably the easiest to configure and the most feature rich, especially if you're using SipStation with FreePBX or PBExact. When you buy a SipStation trunk or get an account from us, we give you a license key in your SipStation portal that you just copy and paste into a SipStation module inside of FreePBX and PBExact, and your trunks will auto register and start beginning to fill out the DIDs and inbound and outbound route configuration. We do have SMS capable DIDs, as well as you can port your numbers into SipStation. And this is full 24/365 support for SipStation. We are E911 compliant as far as Kerry's Law and Raybaum Act, and we have international calling and failover options for SipStation as well. Factstation is a premium faxing service that we do faxing a little bit differently than most other carriers in competition. We do not do traditional fax over IP where you have to worry about negotiating T38 protocol and all the headaches that come from that. We do an SSH data transfer to our data center where we will then send your fax out over real copper PRIs. So this is an extremely reliable and bulletproof faxing solution. And we give you the ability to do that either via uploading a PDF to our portal and sending it out, or this device here that's aptly named a Factstation device, not to be confused with the Factstation trunk. This device will support up to 4 analog fax machines and allow for your users to send and receive faxes from their existing fax machines. So it's got 4 ports on it. It is not an ATA. It is only used for our faxing services. So you cannot plug an analog phone into this and have it work through your PBX. PSTN connectivity, we are not seeing a ton of this anymore as the world continues to move further and further towards SIP trunking. But that being said, if you've got customers that are in rural areas and need connectivity to analog or digital lines, we sell boards and cards that can support up to 24 FXO or FXS ports. Sangoma actually got started in 1984 building boards and cards. That is how we got into business. So we've been doing it for a very long time and we're very good at it. As such, you have a lifetime warranty on all Sangoma cards. And these cards also have the option for built-in hardware echo cancellation. And we can do T1, E1, J1 for up to 16 ports as well. And our T1 cards will not only process your voice, but they will also process the data over that T1 as well. So just kind of another unique identifier for us in our cards, being able to pass the data through as well as the voice. If you prefer to not have a card in the back of a PBX, or you simply can't because you've got a PBX in the cloud, but you need to connect to a PRI off-site, we've got Vega gateways that support up to 50 FXS ports. We can do up to 8 FXO ports and up to 4 T1 ports on a single gateway chassis. Our gateways are kind of a nice option because we do have the ability to support what we call kind of an enhanced survivability or enhanced network proxy. And what I mean by this is you can have your IP phones, your Sangoma phones registered to the Vega gateways, and then the Vega gateways registered to your PBX. So in the event of a WAN failure, or if the motherboard dies on your PBX, your phones can still be registered to the gateway, which will still be able to route calls in and out throughout the PSTN. So just an extra little level of survivability that is possible with Vega gateways. Session border controllers, we have SBCs, And we have SBCs that are able to be deployed on our hardware, or you can do software only installs and virtualize these in your own hardware or your own infrastructure as well. Our smallest physical SBC or software that we sell can be offered for as low as the ability to process up to 5 calls, all the way up to 4,000 sessions with transcoding on our carrier grade session border controllers. Session border controllers, just one last quick note here on kind of what they are and what they can do for you. Really, an SBC is an extremely robust VoIP firewall, and you know what it can do is it can sit at the edge of your network, and it can help filter out malicious traffic before it ever even enters inside your network. So instead of letting your corporate firewall or the firewall inside of your FreePBX or PBExact server try and mitigate that malicious traffic, the SBC will sit at the edge and stop it before it ever even enters inside your network. And another really big use case that we see is you can use an SBC as a soft switch. So if you've got lots and lots of FreePBX servers out there, and maybe you've got accounts with multiple SIP carriers and you're using least cost routing, and you want the SBC to have all traffic come to it and then let the SBC sort and hand off traffic individually to your PBXs, we can do that with it as well. And our SBCs do support true high availability as well. I'd like to think that we can win just about any deal and every deal out there in the world, but being open source and open source based, we have the ability, and we do really well in almost every market. But just a quick peek at where we're really do well is K-12 university education. We do a lot with local government. We're starting to make some huge noise in the hospitality market with our new Oracle module, and retail and medical. You know, that being said, we're a good fit for just about every business out there because of how flexible we are, how feature rich we are, and how affordable we are. We do have a partner program available. So if you are interested in our partner program, it's very easy for us to qualify you and get you on board. There is no cost to join our partner program, nor do we have any requirement that you spend any X number of dollars with us per year. There are a couple of things boxes that we need to check, but essentially from there, and enrolling you into our partner program is going to get you access to discounts on all of our products. You get access to marketing materials and early product access. Partners can get access to deal registration, dedicated sales reps, as well as leads from Sangoma to partners that are actively participating in our partner program. So it's very easy to do business with Sangoma and be a part of our partner program. If you're interested in the partner program or anything else that you saw today, this is my contact information here. I'm gonna leave this up on the screen. That is essentially it for my presentation today. And I'm gonna peek through and see if I can see any questions here that I can help to answer. Will Zulu stop working immediately when you go live? If not, no. So Zulu is not going to immediately stop working when we go live or GA. It will not stop working, but it will go end of life as far as support. So we will, at that time recommend that you begin transitioning users over to the new desktop client, but we will not just absolutely shoot it in the head and kill it. It'll continue to work for at least a short while, and there just won't be any effort going into supporting it or bug fixing it once it does go end of life. I imagine that once we go GA for the new desktop client, it's not going to be the exact same day that we end of life Zulu either. All right, well, looks like there's a poll on your screen. If you don't mind terribly answering that for me, that would be great. I don't see really Hold on, let's see here. There's another question. The promo you mentioned indicated a limit of 4,500 minutes per trunk per month. Is that standard? Yes. So on SipStation, we give you a fair minute level of usage of 3,000 minutes per month per trunk. So if you have 10 trunks on SipStation, you get 30,000 minutes of usage per month before you either will need to enable what we call soft cap bursting, in which you're out of minutes, but you want to keep talking. We will charge you for more minutes, or you can buy another trunk. On PBXact Cloud, we don't give you the ability to do the soft cap bursting. So in lieu of the fact that you can't do soft cap bursting, we increase the minutes of usage per trunk on PBXact Cloud to 4,500 from the 3,000 on SipStation to kind of provide an additional buffer for you, so that on PBXact Cloud, if you had 10 trunks plus users on there, you now have 45,000 minutes of usage versus 30,000. And be aware that since we do not do the soft cap bursting on there, the only option if you're running out of minutes of usage on PBXact Cloud is to buy another trunk plus user. SMS on Sangoma Connect without SipStation? No. The only exception to that would be if you have an account with VoIP Innovations. We own a wholesale SIP carrier called VoIP Innovations, and if you have an account with VI, we will support SMS and MMS through VoIP Innovations as well, but that is the two hard stop exceptions: SipStation, VoIP Innovations. The Sangoma phone operating systems, right now it's Mac and Windows. We do not have anything for Linux that we've released yet, and I don't know, I haven't heard if we're going to do that. There was originally, for Zulu, there was an instance or a client available for Linux, but I don't think that we saw a ton of use with it. So it would be up to product management to decide whether or not we're doing that. If you missed the beginning of this webinar, I believe we recorded it, and we should be able to get everybody a copy of the whole thing. We're pretty much at the top of the hour here. If I did not answer any of your questions, as I said in the beginning, I'll make sure we go through and get a comprehensive list, and I will follow up with you all via email for any questions that I didn't get. But I really appreciate everyone's time in joining me today. Hopefully you learned something. If you think of other questions, my contact info is still on the screen here. Feel free to reach directly out to me, or if you've got an existing sales rep here at Sangoma that you're working with already, you can reach out to them as well. And thank you for your time, everyone. Have a great day.